see you. Stephanie Sterling here. In a lobster mask. Actually, I was gonna show you...
Hi, I'm Stephanie Sterling, and I haven't learned my lesson about doing long monologues while muffled underneath a rubber mask. In this particular monologue, I explain why I'm wearing a lobster mask, but I'm buggered if I can remember whatever contrived reason I came up with, and I sure as shit can't hear it, because I'm muffled. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Square Enix's annual letter, and the horrible AI promise it brings. Oh god, yes, I remember why I wore the lobster mask now. Attention-seeking. In what's becoming an annual tradition, Square Enix kicked off 2024 with another ghastly corporate statement threatening a dystopian future that sounds like a wet dream for tech bros and a shit-filled nightmare for everyone else. I'm all for arbitrary sentimentality, so I'm starting to look forward to these ghoulish visions of a crypto future from Square Enix. It's like the Queen's speech. The executive's fuck dump. For the past few years, Square Enix has been humping the imperially clad leg of NFTs and other blockchain scams, but this year, they've reduced focus on that bullshit to drool and ooze all over the tech world's latest batch of magic beans, AI. Yes, AI, the latest forced trend attempting to treat artists like unnecessary middle people standing between a company and its money. The latest contrived tech grift being pushed as the miracle future, even though it's nowhere near as important, clever, or desirable enough to fulfill its promises, and if you think otherwise, I've got a 3D TV to sell you. Anyway, like I said, I'm all about sentiment for sentiment's own sake, so I thought I'd continue our tradition of going through the yearly Square Enix Death Note. Let's all have a terrible time together! Yay! This year's letter is by Square Enix CEO Takashi Kiryu taking over from former harbinger of demonic erectile tissue Yosuke Matsuda. I would like to begin by wishing everyone a happy new year. Oh, I bet he would. I bet he's always wishing everyone a happy new year, like a trying to go for a bit more of a sympathetic read this year. People's lives took a turn for the better in 2023 thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic largely subsiding after having raged for so long and to the lifting of the restrictions it had triggered. Yeah? Try telling that to my friend who got COVID the other week. Also, shit sucked for me last year. And pretty much everyone I know. I mean, I had one of the less weirdly awful 2023s of my friends, and I was accused by a former WWF wrestler of libel. On a serious note though, although that was serious, I am genuinely curious exactly how many people on average would say life got better for them last year, because that shit ain't true in my neck of the woods. I think what he means is that his life got better, and he's just presuming for the rest of us. That said, he does admit that maybe last year had a handful of unpleasant events. At the same time, 2023 was also a year of tumult exemplified by an intensification in geopolitical risks and sharp inflation stemming partly from monetary policy moves made by central banks grappling with the pandemic. Regions, countries, and even we as individuals found ourselves in a time of transition as the world struggled to establish what the new normal would look like following the pandemic. Now, I think what he means here is a lot of powerful people, including and perhaps especially the executive class to which he belongs, fucked everything up for everyone else who have to adapt to the mess they made and labelled new normal as if making it sound cute would take the edge off the fucking existential horror it represents. Pretty sure that's what he intended to write. With uncertainty on the rise in society as a whole, change was also underway in the realm of digital entertainment where we position our core business. In 2023, we saw the release of eye-catching products and services in multiple domains, where the commercialization and adoption of emerging technologies had seemed a more distant eventuality. The potential of these offerings also garnered greater attention than ever before. Do you think corporate people speak in real life the way they speak in these statements? Why yes, dear wife, I see massive potential for the inclusion of chicken among our core considerations for the protein sector of this evening's dining-based experience. Also, I'm a massive twat. For example, Kiryu offers as an example, whereas the extended reality XR domain had previously developed primarily around business applications for the metaverse and other virtual spaces, 2023 saw the rise of many new services fusing virtual spaces with the real world. A case in point is the way the architecture sector, which previously had limited integration of XR in its business, began increasingly adopting these technologies because they enable the conversion of real-world architectural structures into data, a process also facilitated by the widespread use of commercial drones. Speaking of commercial drones, headlines. Why did I include this bit? It's so fucking boring. In the realm of digital entertainment, where the focus has been on pioneering the development of new content, the experiential value of digital content itself increased dramatically as devices came to market, capable of delivering even more immersive, realistic experiences using virtual reality, VR, AR, Christ, that was boring. Luckily, we're onto the juicy bit now. The part where he starts running his mouth about AI so we can have a right fucking bitch about it. Artificial intelligence, AI, and its potential implications had for some time largely been subjects of academic debate. However, the introduction of ChatGPT, which allows anyone to easily produce writing or translations or to engage in text-based dialogue, sparked the rapid spread of generative AIs. Its release made it apparent that the applicability of generative AI was by no means limited to text, and the subsequent months saw a quick succession of launches of new services and content that expanded generative AI into a variety of domains with close ties to digital entertainment, including images, video, and music. I believe that generative AI has the potential not only to reshape what we create, but also to fundamentally change the processes by which we create, including programming. As such, 2023 was a year of numerous innovations in the realm of digital entertainment. It was also a milestone year for the Square Enix group, in that we both celebrated our 20th anniversary and also set forth on a new path under the management team that I head. You'll notice that the almost religious way in which Kiryu espouses the many vague virtues of AI is pretty much exactly the same way Square Enix has talked about NFTs in the past. Indeed, it's the same way every fucking fad has been talked about. I've seen this performance so many times now, and I'm so fucking tired. Generative AI, aka mass-produced plagiarism, is going to be a big part of a long and unpleasant conversation in gaming throughout 2024. I think the video game space will be seen as a potential playground to find abusive uses for AI, following difficulties doing the same in more unionized industries. Of course, it's already starting. An industry that dehumanizes and discredits artists as much as gaming was obviously poised to jump on technology that has been aggressively sold as a shortcut to creating media without having to pay respect or tolerate the existence of a media creator. The aforementioned ChatGPT has already been embraced by Microsoft, as corpos salivate at the thought of entertainment that can be produced by keywords instead of actual writers who need, you know, paying, respecting and tolerating the existence of. I'm a writer by trade. If I were to pick one of the many things I've done for a living, writing is always going to be at the bedrock of it all. Writing for video games is one of the coolest things I've gotten to do. I've got more work like it coming, and I'd like to do even more. I can't imagine writing not being part of anything I do. I'll happily admit that the thought of writers being replaced by the algorithmic regurgitations of their own words is not just offensive, but downright scary. I've argued in videos before about why the gleeful adoption of AI as an alternative to paying for art is fucking diabolical, but let's leave aside the fact that AI produces derivative crap that will never replicate art created by humans, even while recycling it, because the algorithm's inability to derive context beyond keywords means it will never be able to reproduce the intentions and emotions that inform the creative works currently being rendered into paste and shaped into a vulgar approximation. Leaving that aside, yeah, I don't want my job going to a fucking text box. And like, you've seen the state of video game writing, right? If any medium is going to find it easy to replace writers with an inherently derivative algorithm, it'll be one that gave us Starfield. A medium so devoid of well-written works, David Cage is counted among the best in the business. I mean, you look at Immortals of Avium and you wonder if it wouldn't have been more original had an AI wrote it. You're damn right, I got a personal grudge against AI. Anybody who produces anything creative ought to. Because despite what the less combative tech bros will claim, this shit is being intended to replace writers, illustrators, musicians, actors. It's literally what Saga's just been striking about. Media companies aren't exactly hiding how eager they are to replace the human element. And you need only look to the more honest AI zealots and their downright malicious fantasies about rendering artists obsolete to see how desperate executives, investors, and talentless charlatans alike are keen to turn art into nothing more than a vapid transaction between a rights holder and a consumer. We also intend to be aggressive in applying AI and other cutting-edge technologies to both our content development and our publishing functions. Promises Kiryu continuing Square Enix's trend of glomming onto whatever ethically dubious get-rich-quick tech fad is in season. In the short term, our goal will be to enhance our development productivity and achieve greater sophistication in our marketing efforts. In the longer term, we hope to leverage those technologies to create new forms of content for consumers, as we believe that technological innovation represents business opportunities. Shit, there it is! We hope to leverage those technologies to create new forms of content for consumers, as we believe that technological innovation represents business opportunities. I do believe this is, at long last, the most useless fucking sentence I've ever read aloud in my life. I think that's actually one big difference between this year's letter and the last 2 years. Kiryu's statement from beginning to end promises the same kind of garbage that Matsuda always did, but it does so in the least committed, most meaningless way possible. In one way, this is an improvement. It's less abjectly horrifying because it doesn't go into shockingly honest detail about how Square Enix intends to exploit its audience and leverage tech fads to ruin video games for everyone. In another, perhaps more important way, Kiryu's statement is worse in that I'm less able to mine easy content out of it. Speaking of mining easy content, this year's statement, as noted earlier, steps markedly away from the blockchain-flavoured havoc Square Enix promised to unleash in 2023 and 2022. Indeed, after evangelising about NFTs and cryptocurrency in very much the same way it has about AI this year, that desperately railroaded scam is almost a footnote in 2024. In terms of new business domains, we previously identified 3 focus investment fields, namely blockchain, entertainment, Web 3.0, AI, and the cloud. Last year, we redefined our overarching mission and goals for these 3 fields. We are currently working to modify our organisational structure and optimise our resource allocations to support these efforts. Yeah, that's it. Compared to previous years where blockchain bollocks was presented as the driving fucking force behind everything the company was working towards, today it is downplayed as one of 3 focus investment fields and given no further elaboration. What's more, the statement doesn't mention NFTs at all. Anywhere. Weird. I mean, Square Enix called all this shit the future, and it's not like Square Enix to just preemptively call some new fad the future and aggressively pursue it as such, except for the times it did that. If there's one thing I know about Square Enix, it's that you can trust the long-term commitments of the company that brought us Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier, Chocobo GP, Bravely Default Mobile, Babylon's Fall, Engage Kill, Full Metal Alchemist Mobile, Echoes of Mana, and Dragon Quest Tact.
It's hip to be Square. It's hip to be.
This is of course not to say that Square Enix has abandoned NFT shenanigans altogether. I'm still convinced more than a few game industry executives invested in that crap quite heavily and will desperately try to offload it onto the suckers they think we are for a long time to come. But it absolutely says a lot that they're pulling back on such eager support in favour of a tweaked version of the scam that looks to have more staying power. And make no mistake, AI, as I've said in the past, is the exact same scam as NFTs with the same goal: making money from nothing in a way that inherently devalues the role of an artist in the creation of art. It's what NFTs were used for, it's what AI is being used for, it'll be whatever comes after gets used for. The game industry's profiteers would love you to think creating art is easy. No big deal, something anyone can do. It's why developers have had to fight to get their names on game credits, why faceless studios are predominantly pushed as a game's creator instead of its directors and writers, and any of its artists. It's of course why unions are so vehemently resisted. Those making the most money from art have the least to gain from acknowledging the artists. Indeed, acknowledging that all of that precious intellectual property was made by talented artists whose talents worth paying for is only going to eat into their cut of the cake. And that's not just me predicting, guessing, extrapolating. That's literally the goal as nakedly revealed by the profiteers themselves when they do things like trying to retain the rights to performers' likenesses in perpetuity. It's the shit they admit when they lay off actual journalists in favour of auto-generated content mills. That stuff that's just happening now. out in the open, no speculation required. AI represents a chance for companies to produce cheap content without such troublesome things as artistic integrity or even creative intent. In an era of cinematic universes and Game of Thrones Scooby-Doo crossovers, that kind of artless, heartless, pointless swill is exactly the kind of algorithm-pleasing crap that mainstream entertainment wants to shovel down our throats even as audiences become overwhelmingly exhausted by it. God, I can't wait for all this shit to collapse. 2024 will mark the starting point for our group to achieve additional strides forward and further growth, Kiryu closes, adding yet more sentences so vapid they could have themselves been written by an AI. We will articulate our new corporate strategy in the form of a grand design and devote ourselves to executing each of our initiatives. Never fearing change and always maintaining a challenger's mindset, we will work together as one to drive our businesses forward. Oh, fuck off.
It's good that Microsoft is coming under fire for using ChatGPT. It's good that AI is causing strikes and other forms of pushback. It needs to happen because AI is a very real threat to the creative industry, to creative people. And as I stand here in my floppy rubber lobster mask, I have to ask, do we creatives not deserve dignity? Do we not deserve respect? I say we do! AI is going to come up a lot this year, and I am going to protest it a lot this year. For the reasons given in this video, for the reasons given in previous videos, for the reasons given in videos to come. AI is bad news. Not because the technology itself doesn't have a potential. We've all seen Captain Planet and we all want that robot head man who hung around with Dr. Blight. That's the future I want, sure. But it's not the future we're going to get with companies like Square Enix in charge. Because they are going to use AI to cut every corner, cut every cost, and cut as many artists out of art as possible. Thank God for me.